Hi everyone. So today we are going to start with the very first chapter of Air Regulations by R.K. Bali. So it's about some of the various different and some important abbreviations. We're not going to do all of them, but definitely the ones which are important to be known. So the very first definition is a flight simulator. So what is a flight simulator? It's basically an actual representation of the flight deck or what we call a cockpit of a particular type of aircraft, such that the mechanical, electrical, etc., all of the aircraft working systems, control functions, they are the same. And there is a normal environment of flight crew members and the performance and flight characteristics of that type. They are actually stimulated. So it is basically an a actual representation or a realistic representation. The next is accelerate stop distance available. It is very important. So what is ASDA? We call it ASDA. It is the length of the takeoff run available plus the length of the stopway. The length of the takeoff run available plus the length of the stopway. What is stopway? Okay, so in case we need to abort the takeoff or reject the takeoff before reaching V1, V1 is the decision speed. At V1, we cannot reject takeoff. So we can reject takeoff only below V1, and to abort the takeoff, we need to travel some distance after cutting off the power. We'll have to travel some distance to stop the aircraft. It cannot be stopped immediately. So there is a stopway present. The next is aerial work. It is definitely an important abbreviation. Aerial work, it means any aircraft operation that are used for the purpose of commercial or we can say industrial purposes or any of the remunerative purposes. Remunerative purpose is the one for which the money is being paid or it is profitable, but it does not include the operations of air transport services. The next is aerodrome beacon. It is used to indicate the location of the aerodrome from the air. Sometimes, due to some RT failure or uh, when we are not able to establish a contact with the ATC, these aeronautical beacons they help the pilot to locate the aerodromes on the ground while being in the air. The next is aerodrome operating minima. So these are basically the various limits which need to be known for the purpose of using the aerodrome. And I would also like you to know that the aerodrome beacon they are of different colors. The aerodrome beacon they are basically white or some other color with white. So for land aerodrome it's white or white green. For sea aerodrome or water aerodrome, it's white or white yellow. And for the military aerodromes, it's white and green. The next is or aeronautical fixed service. AFS. It is a telecommunication service between some of the waypoints, some specified fixed waypoints which are primarily provided just for the sake of safety of air navigation and for the regular and efficient and economical operation of the air transport services. The next we need to do is aeronautical information circular. It has its own chapter, so we'll discuss it over there. The next is Aeronautical Information Publication, same chapters, and Aeronautical Information Service. Again, they are in a particular chapter, so we'll do these later on. The next important abbreviation is Air Defense Identification Zone, ADIZ. Okay, so some of the airspaces, but let me tell you that these airspaces, there are certified uh, defined dimensions within which the aircraft they need to take special identification clearance, and they have to report the procedures additional to those which are related to the air traffic services from the air force. So we have five ADAs in India. These are basically the FIRs. Whenever an aircraft flies over these certified defined dimensions of designated airspaces, it needs to take the some clearance from the Air Force, and if the clearance is not obtained well in time and the aircraft enters that ADIS, then it might be intercepted by what do we say, the military aircraft. Next is air operator permit or certificate. Basically it authorizes an operator so that they can carry out commercial air transport operations. The next we need to do is AIREC. AIREC is in some other chapter. It is along with aeronautical information publication or circular. So we'll discuss it there only. Next is Airborne Collision Avoidance System, ACAS. So ACAS, basically it is a part of air navigation, but we'll discuss some of it here. It is based on secondary surveillance radar. That means it is a ground based equipment. It will send the signals, then the signal are sent on some other frequency, and the signals will be received back with some other frequency. Then is aircraft classification number. So every aircraft it has some classification number. It basically represents what the relative effect would be on the pavement of an aircraft for a specified standard category. Some standard categories are maintained, and what effect the aircraft would have on the pavement. This defines the aircraft classification number. Then is aircraft operating manual. Every aircraft must have a manual, and this is certified by DGCA. It has some normal or abnormal or emergency checklists or procedures limitations, and it should be present in all of the aircrafts. It is also a part of operational manual. Aircraft stand, it is basically a certified or designated space on an apron which is used to park an aircraft. The next we need to learn is air met information, again part of meteorology. And also it will be in the chapter of nautical information services, so we'll discuss it there. Then is air taxing. It is the movement. Okay, so it is related to helicopter, so we do not need to do it. Then is airway. Airway is basically a controlled area or the portion which is in the form of corridor. It is in air only. Alerfa. Alerfa, it is the code which is used to designate alert phase. What is alert phase? It is a situation where the apprehension exists so as to the safety of the aircraft as well as the passengers or all of its occupants. This question comes directly in the form of definition only. Name one, name in one word the situation where the apprehension exists so as to the safety of the passengers as well as the aircraft. Alerfa or alert phase, whatever may be the options. Then is you need to know altitude. Altitude, it is the vertical distance of a level or a point or some object which is considered as a point, and remember altitude is always measured from the mean sea level. The next is we need to do is automatic fixed emergency locator transmitter. So every aircraft has automatically activated ELTs which are permanently attached to an aircraft. You just need to know ADS-B and ADS-C, automatic dependent surveillance, broadcast and contract. ADS-B means they automatically transmit or receive data, but ADS-C means the exchange would be via some data link which will specify some conditions that would be initiated and would be required. Then we come over to Bravo. So we need to know barre. What is a barre? When three or more ground lights in an aerodrome, they are closely spaced in transverse or horizontal axis such that from a large distance or from some certain distance it appears as if there is a short bar of light, that is known as a barre. Then comes Charlie. Ceiling. Ceiling is basically the height above the ground or water level of the base of the lowest layer of cloud, that to below 6,000 meters or to 20,000 feet, that are covering half of the sky. Certificate of airworthiness. What is airworthiness? We say that an aircraft is airworthy when it is fit to fly. So, whichever aircraft it is fit to fly, that aircraft will definitely have a certificate of airworthiness. What is changeover points? Basically, when I'm going from Delhi to a certain place, say for Chennai, so when I'm changing from Delhi ATC to some other ATC in between the route, that is the changeover point. Then is clearway. Clearway, it is a defined area, rectangular area. It is either on the ground or water, made suitable over which an aircraft will make a climb of its like its initial climb to a specific height. And this clear weight is not actually visible to us, but yes, it is imaginary but free of obstacles as the aircraft can make its initial climb to a certain specified height. Then is contracting state. Okay, so any state which for the time being is a party to the Convention on International Civil Aviation, that is the Chicago Convention, which was concluded on 7th December 1944. It is a member state or a party to this convention, that is known as a contracting state. It actually doesn't mean a state in a country, but the various different countries which are the part of Chicago Convention, which are the binding members of Chicago Convention. Control area. From a specific limit above the earth, the airspace which is extending upwards from the specific limit. What is control zone? From the surface of the earth extending to a particular limit is control zone. Then what is a controlled aerodrome? Aerodrome which has air traffic services provided. Controlled airspace within which air traffic services is provided. Controlled flight which is subject to air traffic clearance. Controller pilot data link communication, communication between the controller and the pilot, which uses data link for the communications. Convention again is relating to international civil aviation, which was signed at Chicago on 7th December 1944.